Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending this County Commission, Genesee County meeting, Genesee County Board of Commissioners. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:31. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Present.
Commissioner Winfrey?
Here.
Commissioner Getzinger?
Here.
Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Avery?
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
Present.
Commissioner Kuznow?
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill?
Here.
Commissioner Llewellyn?
Present.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to have our invocation by Commissioner Avery, if you would, and followed by our Pledge of Allegiance.
Just like to take a moment, please. Gracious Father, we thank you first of all for this day. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity for us to gather together for the business of our county. Pray, Lord, you give us the strength and the knowledge for the well-being of our residents and for Genesee County as a whole, and that this meeting will be effective and for the betterment of our county. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 Now the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, as our first order of business tonight, we have the approval of the meeting minutes from our January 29, 2025. All right, it's been moved to approve them, supported by moved by Commissioner Shoemaker, supported by Commissioner Kuznow. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, the motion passes. Now, we have come to our public speaking time, the time that's been set aside for public speaking here in our Genesee County Board of Commissioners meeting. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to address this body, please come forward at this time, and please state your name and your community of residence, city of residence, township, village for the record. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address this body at this time? Is there anyone from the public that wishes to address this body? Please step forward. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amy Cox. I live in Flushing, Michigan. I work in the city of Flint. I'm a teacher. I work at Mott Middle College, and Mott Middle College is kind of known as the hidden gem of Genesee County, which we who work there don't like it to be called that. We'd like everybody to know about it. But predominantly my school is mostly African American. We're a very, very diverse school. It was founded on the principle over 30 years ago of equity and access. And our vision is that every child should have a quality education that includes access to free college. And it was my boss, Dr. Wagenlander, it was her goal that we would take that philosophy and idea and take it eventually to the state. And now we have in the state of Michigan, every single high school has this amazing thing of equity and access to free college. Being at a school where most of my students are African American, and a lot of my students were actually fearful with the coming election because they're involved and they live in this community. And then it's February, it's African American Heritage Month, Black History Month. And my student said, Ms. Cox, did you hear that the president is banned Black History Month? What are we going to do about it? And I said, well, it's not what are we going to do about it? What do you want to do about it? I'm supporting you. I work for you, I work for your parents, I work for the community. What do you want to do? And they said, we want to still have Black History Month. I said, well, great, let's organize that. And I had unanimous support to organize having Black History Month. And then I got a call from a friend who knows that I teach where I teach, and she said, did you see the Board of Commissioners meeting? And regretfully, I did not. It is not something that I normally follow. I try to stay abreast of politics. But she said, I'm gonna send it to you, let me know what you think. And maybe you want to attend the meeting. And so I am here today to say that as a resident of Flushing at Genesee County, I think it's very important that we honor Black History Month and that we celebrate those amazing Americans who have contributed so much to our county. the backs of this country have been built on people of color, Black Americans, Indigenous folks, and I think we need to honor that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address this body? Your name and city, township, or village of residency.
Hi there, my name's Terry Cross. I'm in Davison Township. And I'm here in support for the adoption of resolution honoring Black History Month. And I'm here to talk about one of the amazing Americans that Amy just mentioned. Say Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by Black Americans making significant contributions to the advancement of civil rights, education, culture, science, arts, community. I'd like to cite an example of Flint's own Floyd McCree. Mr. McCree served his country in the South Pacific during World War II. He migrated north following the war, seeking opportunity and higher wage work found here. He hired in at the Buick Foundry. Back then, GM hired African Americans either in foundries or as janitors. The foundry was dirty, dangerous work. McCree became involved organizing union bargaining committee to obtain equal pay and rights for Black employees, which became known as the Foundry Council. In 1958, he secured a seat on the city commission, and in 1966, the commission appointed McCree mayor of Flint. Flint was then the 62nd largest city in America, and he was the first Black American to serve as a mayor of a major city. During that time, Flint was highly segregated due to discriminatory housing laws, redlining. Flint became the first U.S. city to pass a fair housing ordinance because one man, Floyd McCree, said, "I'm not going to sit here any longer and live an equal opportunity lie." He was joined in the pursuit of open housing by 10 days of citizen protest, led by Olive Beasley, head of Flint's Civil Rights Commission. Local activists held a sleep-in on the lawn of City Hall and faced a public demonstration by the local Ku Klux Klan chapter. Led by Mayor McCree, the Flint City Commission adopted the ordinance by a 5-4 vote. And it survived a referendum initiative by a mere 30 votes cast by Flint electorate. McCree told the Flint Journal, "It's just wonderful. The people won. Keep us winning." I ask the commission to respect and recognize integrity, importance of honoring a County of Black History Month and the lives of people like Floyd McCree. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional members of the public who wish to address this body? Any additional members of the public who wish to address this body? If there are no additional members of the public who wish to address this body, public comment period is now closed. Mr. Freeman, do we have any communications? No, sir. All right. At this time, that brings us to our reports of the standing committees. We'll begin with Community and Economic Development Committee. Dr. Beverly Brown, Chairperson. Dale K. Wayhill, Vice Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Resolution 2025-0020, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Mount Morris Township in the amount of $40,000 to provide for code enforcement within the township.
Support.
All right. Resolution's been moved by Commissioner Brown, supported by Commissioner Wayhill. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, the motion passes. Any report of the committee, Dr. Brown?
I have no report, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you so much. That brings us to our Finance Committee. Commissioner Martin L. Cousineau, Chairperson. Commissioner Gary L. Getzinger, Vice Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Resolution 25-0069, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Community Care Ambulance in the amount not to exceed $27,000 to provide dispatching services to the medical examiner's office. The cost of this agreement will be paid from the following account.
Support.
All right, been moved by Commissioner Cousineau, supported by Commissioner Getzinger. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
I move Resolution 25-0071, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the paid county bills for the weeks ending 12/29/24, 1/5/25, 1/12/25, and 11925 in the total amount of $19,648,314.35.
Support.
Resolution has been moved by the same, supported by Commissioner Winfrey. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Move Resolution 25-0078, approval of a proposed budget amendment to the 24-25 appropriation resolution for various line items as described in the following budget adjustment.
Support.
All right, motion has been made by the same and moved by, I believe, Commissioner Shoemaker. Did you support that originally? All right, is there any discussion? All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Is there any report from the Finance Committee?
Not this evening, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Next before us, we have the Governmental Operations Committee, Commissioner Dale K. Wayhill, Chairperson, Commissioner Sean Shoemaker, Vice Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Resolution 2025-0021, approval of a purchase order to Motorola for the fiscal year ending 2025 in the amount of $33,090 to provide for the purchase of mobile license plate readers at Genesee County Sheriff's Office. The cost of this purchase order was previously approved in fiscal year '24 and will be paid from the following account.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Wayhill, supported by Commissioner Flewelling. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries.
I move Resolution 2025-0050, approval of a request by the Genesee County Sheriff's Office to eliminate a deputy training position and to create, post, and fill the position of training sergeant.
Support.
All right, the item has been moved by the same, supported by Commissioner Dr. Brown. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Shoemaker.
If we could have Crystal come up here really quick. Through the chair, if I may.
Yes.
Crystal, thanks for the information. If you could just let the board know, and I'm sure you sent it out to everybody as we discussed, but just kind of let the public know, because we talked about this last week, what the increase actually would be this year and moving forward, and how that would affect budget.
Sure. So at the time this was put into Legistar for review, the increase for a full year was $3,502. For the rest of this fiscal year was just over $2,100. In the interim, the sergeant contract, the union contract had settled. So the increase now is for a full year, $23,290. For the rest of this fiscal year is $14,556. The undersheriff, we talked earlier, they're still planning to transfer it from their training budget to cover that if it's approved this evening. Sure.
All right, is there any additional discussion? All right, seeing no additional discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes.
I move Resolution 2025-0057, approval of a purchase order to Pinnacle Design for the fiscal year ending 2025 in the amount of $62,806.93 to provide for the purchase of furnishings at Genesee County's Legal Resource Center. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from the account listed.
Support.
All right, the motion's been moved by the same, supported by Commissioner Winfrey. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, motion passes.
I move Resolution -2025-1153, recognition of Black History Month.
Support.
All right, it's been moved by the same, supported by Commissioner Winfrey. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I might, as the maker of the motion, just read it into the record so the public
Yes.
can hear it before we have our debate. Genesee County Black History Month Resolution. Whereas Genesee County believes in honoring and celebrating the accomplishments of its current residents, as well as all those who assisted in building our wonderfully diverse and vibrant community over its 189-year history, and whereas African Americans living in every corner of Genesee County have contributed immensely to our community's storied history and to the rich quality of life which we enjoy today, And whereas members of the African American community have played critical and unique roles within all areas of human endeavor within Genesee County, including labor, business, government, medicine, health and human services, education, science, arts and culture, sports, and philanthropy. And whereas residents of Genesee County have been at the forefront of the civil rights movement in meaningful ways, including Flint's selection of the first African-American mayor of a major city, the successful fight for a landmark open housing ordinance, and actively and forcefully speaking truth to power during the Flint water crisis. And whereas Genesee County has an official commitment to the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the form of both a formal resolution and through the establishment of the Genesee County Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission, and whereas Genesee County aspires to expand its role as a convener to enhance relationships that contribute to the growth of our community by bringing together diverse people and ideas to enhance the quality of life for all residents. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Genesee County Board of Commissioners proclaims Black History Month in Genesee County and encourages all county departments to engage in celebratory activities and appropriate recognitions. And be it further resolved that the Genesee County Clerk and Register of Deeds provide one copy of this resolution to each city, village, and township within Genesee County and to each county clerk in the state of Michigan.
All right, this item has already been moved and supported. Is there any additional discussion? Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a comment, if I may, and I'd like to start with this. As it often happens with communication, my statements last week during our government operations have led to some communication or misinterpretation of what I was saying. Let me start by saying I want to be very clear. I believe that every citizen has the right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, as long as it does not harm others. I believe in equity and that everyone should be treated the same way under the laws of the United States of America, this state, and this county. I stand by my previous statements that it is our duty to ensure these rights and protect them. For those who have speculated about my criticism last week, let me clarify. My concern was not with the resolution. I want to be very clear about that. My concern was not with the resolution. It is how this board is implementing DEI and its policies for diversity, equity, and inclusion. In my experience with this board and the DEI committee, I feel they only see the value in diversity and inclusion when it aligns with their particular viewpoint. When someone challenges that perspective, they often are met with hostility. And if you disagree with the policy or the way it goes, here's what you may expect. And I will just read of my week. Following elected officials taking pop shots at you with the media while they claim to support open dialogue. Employees making disrespectful comments and gestures during meetings. Your reputation being slandered. Your livelihood being threatened. My employer last night reached out to me. This was an email sent to my employer. Sean Shoemaker is a racist, misogynist, bigot. His latest comments are that women, people of color, are worthless and shouldn't be hired. That's just one of the lovely emails that have circulated. Your social media would be attacked. Your family will be bullied. Even direct threats for disagreeing with a policy. I've had several talks with different members of this committee, and it goes on both sides for a lot of arguments. And I'm not saying this is just because it's one way. But as far as our DEI policy, all of this simply, once again, because I spoke up, that I don't think we're living up to what this board has set as principles for DEI. My issue was with the resolution, or was not with the resolution, but it was with our position on DEI. The way the board is set up. For an example, 90% of that board thinks basically the same way about liberal ideology. And it's probably less than that. And as I said before, I was the only conservative on there. The problem I have with that is The board appoints their own people. It's the only board we have that appoints their own commission. So if you want truly to have diversity and diverse thought and diverse opinions, we're supposed to control that. We are the county board. We've turned that power over to them. In addition to that, I'd like to state, and just to, because I know everybody believes this, if we had department heads or positions where we had a larger majority of people that were either one race, one gender, this board would try to take action because we agree with its principles. But when it comes to people who think differently than us, we've stacked this board with people that guarantees that this board is going to move forward with it. I also have a belief that the failure of that board is larger than that. I had our office staff, they were polite enough to pull this for me. We do not have an Hispanic Heritage Month. We do not have an Native American Month. There are many others we do not celebrate. Cuban History Month. There's so many things we don't have, but amazingly, the ones we do are set up with people who can identify on this board. So if we really look for diversity, we gotta look for outside of ourselves. And I just ask this moving forward, and I thank you for your time and indulgence. I ask you to really listen to what I'm saying, not hear it. I hear all the time, I hear what you're saying, and I do it too. I'm guilty. But I ask you that when you're done with this to take some time, reflect as a board, as citizens who are watching this, or as media comes out with their story, and think about it. This was a difference of a view. I'm not against the resolution. No one listened to that. I'm not against celebrating Black History Month. There's not a fiber in my being that's against that. But I want everybody to do it. But we have a commission that has been created, and yet we only have 2 resolutions that we're celebrating. June for LGBTQ and Black History Month. So you tell me if they're doing their job over there with 4 years. And so to get people's attention, to get change, sometimes you have to do something radical. And you know me, I'm not a go along, get along anyways, but we have to make some changes on that board because evidently they are not thinking of our entire community. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mr. Chair. You are a true leader. Your conversation and guidance through this is a blessing. Commissioner Wayhill, I always thank you because even if I rally against you, you allow me my freedom to believe what I believe, so that's a blessing. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion on this resolution? All right, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, the motion passes. Commissioner Shoemaker just asked for the floor.
Mr. Chair, I would like to bring a motion to the floor. I have copies here if everyone wants to see it. It's the exact same motion that we just passed celebrating Black History Month. I would like to be able to vote for Black History Month, but I do not want the DEI piece because I do not feel our board is dedicated to really the principles of DEI. I think we see a narrow side of that. So I would like to put the resolution forward minus the DEI, the same resolution we just passed. That resolution is already passed. This is just a new one allowing me to vote for my support of Black History Month. So I just need a second.
I'll support it.
So it's been moved and supported. Just for clarity, it's the same identical resolution, if I'm hearing correctly, as the resolution we just passed, minus the section in the resolution that speaks to the creation.
We're committed to DEI.
Committed to DEI. All right, is there any, it's been moved by Commissioner Shoemaker, supported by Commissioner Wayhill. Is there any discussion on that resolution?
Yeah.
Commissioner Winfrey.
You know, if people of color and other protected groups had been treated with dignity and respect throughout the history of this country, there would be no need for DEI or any other Black History Month or anything else. I can't support this resolution. You know, I voted to have the DEI commission. I sit on the DEI commission. And I'm not going to denigrate the DEI Commission by allowing or voting, supporting this motion. So I steadfastly refuse, or I cannot support it.
All right. Any additional discussion? Commissioner Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't want to vote on that particular motion at the moment because I feel that there's some more dialogue that needs to take place. One of the reasons we established, I think the county established the DEI Commission, because it was done before I arrived, was to foster understanding and to foster some sort of common ground and common knowledge. And I think there's still room for that to happen today before we adopt such a motion. A lot of people, for example, believe that diversity is a proxy for race. It is not. As Commissioner Shoemaker mentioned, diversity can mean diversity of religions, diversity of parties, diversity of abilities. And so I agree with Commissioner Winfrey's comments. I agree with the public comments that were made earlier today. But I think before we go about splitting hairs with this particular resolution, I think more conversation needs to take place. And for that reason, I'd be voting no on it.
All right, Commissioner Wayhill.
Mr. Chair, I seconded the motion, but I intend to vote against the motion. I was doing that as a courtesy to my friend, Commissioner Shoemaker, so that he could vote in favor of the rest of it and be on the record for what he wants to support. I support the original motion, which is why I voted in the affirmative, and that's I wrote it that way because I'm the author of it. But I'm doing that because I want to, extend an olive branch, or however you want to describe it, a courtesy to my colleagues. So I intend to vote against it because it would, if we adopt it, it's in contradiction of the one we just approved. So, but I did want to get it on the floor for discussion and a vote.
All right, Commissioner Getzinger.
Could you reread the piece about DEI that Sean's asking to strike?
So the portion that he would strike, and correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Shoemaker, would be, whereas Genesee County has an official commitment to the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the form of both a formal resolution and through the establishment of the Genesee County Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. I can bring this over if you want. You got it? Okay.
I heard it. Because I think, and I don't mean to speak for you, Commissioner, but I don't think we need to strike that we're not committed to it. Because our committee may or may not be working, doesn't mean that we should strike that we're not committed to it as a board. So I too would be against that at this point.
All right, any additional discussion? Commissioner Flewelly.
Briefly, I just want to state in my conversations with Sean, I understand where he's coming from as far as being a part of that commission. Obviously, the United States, has been committed to allowing everyone to pursue life, liberty, and happiness regardless of race, color, creed. We all know that has not happened over the history of this country. I think where Commissioner Shoemaker's coming from my point of view is we can do more. There's more that can be done. Are we paying lip service to an effort that's incomplete by just putting a section in a resolution? Are we paying lip service to say, yes, we're doing it, but are we? I don't pretend to have experienced things that others have, and I never will. But in my conversation with Commissioner Shoemaker, what more can be done? What follow through? What can truly be done besides just putting words in a resolution? We should celebrate it, yes. But is it lip service? Is it just empty promises? Thank you.
All All right, is there any additional discussion, Commissioner Avery?
I just want to add, it's probably unfortunate that the acronym and the buzz acronym of DEI has overtaken the action of its work. Unfortunately, when anyone hears DEI, it starts to bring this reservation of something either being taken away, something that's unfairly given, and we have to get back to the thought process of why it was originally discovered. And that was to make sure that things were put in place to give everyone an equal opportunity. When you start basing this DEI on race and specific religions, you're starting to get away from the action of DEI. So I think as a county, yes, we could do more, but if you start taking that term and making it a tool against what we're trying to gain, we're going to be divisive all over again. So I think it's important for us to be mindful. DEI is an action, not a word, not an acronym. And so I think as a board, we should have that mindset versus the term that's now become so tainted around our country, unfortunately. Get back to the action of it. You know, it doesn't even have to be called DEI, just do it. That's what my thought is. So thank you.
Is there any additional discussion, Commissioner Cousineau?
Through the chair to Mr. Wayhill, in the past, we've honored, as we should, Black History Month. And we've done these resolutions throughout the years. You know, I've sat here for a number of years. And in the past, especially since we formed the DEI committee, to my knowledge, this is the first time you put that in there, the phraseology there. What changed? What changed?
So did we vote on this last year? I don't think we did. So I don't think we voted on a Black History Month resolution since I've been on the commission. So I haven't seen the former resolutions. I was just trying to be helpful because no one else was bringing a Black History Month resolution. And, you know, my intention is to bring one for Women's History Month as well, not knowing whether we've ever adopted one in the past. I took to heart one of the things that Commissioner Shoemaker said to me when I brought the Pride Month resolution for the second time last year when we were at Juvenile Justice Center, and it was what he repeated tonight, that is, you know, why don't we have resolutions for, and I think you agreed with it, in the moment that we don't have resolutions for other dedicated months and diversity topics. So I remember that, and was at the Black History Month brunch with Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Getzinger and Commissioner Winfrey, Commissioner Avery, and it occurred to me there would be no Black History Month resolution from Genesee County if I didn't do something. So I told the chair that I was going to write something, told the administrator I would write something, and I wrote something without ever seeing anything that was previously passed. My recollection is we've never adopted this since I've been on. Let me just add this. It would be helpful to me, instead of having to write these for all of these, that maybe the DEI commission could be charged, or we could suggest to them that one way that they can help the county is by bringing forward some of these resolutions for our consideration. Right now, I'm just trying to be helpful and do what many legislative bodies do to honor our history and the history of certain diverse populations in our country.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair. To Mr. Wayhill, you know, I did last year at one point in time, whether it was, well, it was during when you had the resolution for,
Pride Month.
yeah, Pride Month. And, you know, I'd made the comment that, you know, as it relates to our society as a whole and me on this board, you know, I took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and this state. And I've been this way my entire life, is that the Constitution says all men, but that's been interpreted as all people are equal and I live my life in that way. And when, I see just certain groups, like last year when you was wanting to pass that, and I voted for it, but we're making some groups above others. I said it then. I'm the proud grandfather of a grandson whose mother is Cuban. And I never see anything addressing and say, hey, let's have Hispanic month, let's have, express for Cubans, whoever. And I don't see it from everybody. I just see it for certain people. And in that particular case, that was you, and that's fine. You're very open and honest, and I don't have any problem with that. I think that's great. I really think that's great, Dale. But how equal is all this? I struggle with that. And being as he is Cuban, there's also a very small percentage of African American in his blood, too. Now, you telling me, is anybody telling me, that I don't support my own grandson with some of this stuff? I don't know. I'm very confused by it all. I'm very stressed about it. I hate even being here on this discussion because I believe everybody's created equal, and that's all we need. I just wanted to make that comment, that we're all created equal, and, we're getting upset with some of this language in it. And, when Shoemaker states, who has sat on that DEI board for a number of years, says that it is not functioning as DEI should. I respect Mr. Shoemaker, so I've only sat in on a couple of those meetings, and so I assume, he's right. And I struggle with this. I'll still, I voted in it in subcommittee. The other thing I wanted to make clear too is I was upset when you brought that at the last minute. It was not on our agenda. It was added at the last minute. Now, to add something to the agenda, you have to have at least 6 votes. We didn't do any of that, but it didn't matter because it passed, 8-1. So to add it, or because it was an add-on at the last minute, I think that's a lack of transparency. Whenever anybody, I don't care what the resolution is, if it's what this we're talking about or another one that has something to do with finance, I think that's disrespectful to your fellow commissioners. You didn't give them time to look over it. But even the community that follows it, they'd look at this as you're not being very transparent. And that's all issues, not just this one. And so I think that in the future, that we need to be more cognizant of that instead of bringing these things at the last minute and adding them, it's really not being very transparent to your fellow commissioners or to the community as a whole. But I will be voting for this. I don't really have that big of a problem with it. It's just, I'm upset that it even comes to this point. Thank you. I'm done, Mr. Chair.
Is there any just additional discussion? Anybody who has not spoke? Okay. So I'd like to get in on this discussion, if I may. It's always a custom of the chair to wait to folks. Have you spoken on this resolution?
I have.
You
I
have?
just wanted to-
Anybody who has not spoke as of yet? Okay, if I may, if I can speak, it's generally custom of the chair to wait until the discussion is going around, so I just
Chair,
want
I'm
to.
sorry,
Yes.
I wanted to make a clarification that I'm going to vote for, and I already have Dale's resolution for Black History Month. Okay.
Thank you.
Right now, I don't know how I'm going to vote on shoemakers.
Just a couple things I want to say really quick. One of the things that I appreciated, about our board, and we are a model of leadership across this county for all cities, townships, and villages, is the manner in which we go about having discussions. During this term, this session of our commission, we've had respectful conversations, and we continue to do so. And I want to commend the body. Although differences in perspectives, the discussion has been respectful, and that's something to celebrate. We all come from different districts, backgrounds, experiences, upbringings, and so on and so forth. And there's 9 of us, and that's not going to always parallel, but how we conduct ourselves, I think, is what makes what's very important. So I want to commend our body for having such a sensitive conversation in such a professional, civil, and productive way. One of the things that I wanted to mention as a point of information is about add-on resolutions by our bylaws for our committees. We do not have a rule in place as to how resolutions can be brought, except that they can come by way of the chairs of committees. You are correct, Commissioner Cousineau, as it relates to the full board meeting. We do need 6 votes to add resolutions to this body, and that we've done that. The other thing that I wanted to state is that I think it's appropriate that the DEI Commission has a chair and a vice chair, and so what I'll do is, along with the Government Operations Chair, and is to schedule a meeting with the chair and vice chair, as well as Commissioner Winfrey, because I know you sit on the DEI as a representative from this group, just to schedule a meeting so that we can just kind of talk about, number one, the great work that the DEI Commission is doing, and how we can go about maybe incorporating perspective and build on the awesome work that group has done. Again, all perspectives are valued. We've done that as a body, and I look forward to sharing even more so concerns that you raised, Commissioner Cousineau and Shoemaker, but raising in a way that also supports and celebrates the work that they've already done. I also wanted to say that I'm going to support this resolution tonight, and this is why I'm going to support it. I'm going to vote in the affirmative because my individual vote does not take away from the resolution we've already voted on that mentioned action we've already taken as it relates to DEI, establishing commission, and so on and so forth. And voting on the resolution does not abolish my commitment or the express commitment and voted commitment of this body to support diversity, equity, and inclusion across the county. It is a sensitive matter tonight. It is unfortunate on one hand that there is 2 resolutions that we'll be voting on tonight, but I also respect my colleagues' desire to support Black history while exercising his right not to be supportive of the other portion of that resolution. In the future, I'm hopeful that that we can just debate the resolutions, and if there's a change that we want to make to the main resolution, if you will, that we just debate that, make the adjustments to the resolutions, and vote them up or down at that point. And so, again, want to commend the board for the respectful discussion. I will be, based on the discussion, scheduling a meeting with the chair and vice chair of the DEI Commission to look at how we can build on the awesome work that they do, incorporate concerns that have been raised by Commissioner Shoemaker, and look forward to moving forward. What we do want the commission to take away from this, because there's folks that have volunteered their time, folks that have made great sacrifice to be a part, and there have been some positive things that have come out of there. I don't want those that are engaged in that process to become discouraged by this conversation. I disagree that this board does not support diversity, equity, inclusion, that we're not serious about it. I haven't seen that indication of anybody on this board, and I believe that we'll continue to work together and collaborate in that work. So I said a lot, but I tried to cover a lot of bases and hopefully, put us on the course to be able to move past this particular item. With that said, if there's additional discussion, I'd like to wrap the conversation up and kind of summarize and move to action if we can. Commissioner Shoemaker, Commissioner Cousineau, Commissioner Wayhill, Commissioner Flewelly.
I appreciate those who supported it. I'm going to say this. Once again, certain terms were thrown out there, you know, that they're doing a good job over there, they're doing what we want them to. You want them to leave out certain groups? Is that what we want them to do? So you think they're doing a good job? Key term, and my Commissioner Avery said, well, we get too hung up on the words. Well, there's definitions to those words. Diversity, if I have to explain it, then Dr. Brown said it correctly. It's not just color or gender, it's ideology, it's this and that. But we've missed if you ask a fifth grader, sixth grader, the basic thing, we don't celebrate any of these others. We celebrate what's on this board. We have a minority group and we have someone from the LGBTQ group. And that's what you've pushed forth. I'm asking simply with this resolution, because if it's really about me supporting it, because I'm going to tell you, it's been a very hard week. And you really support inclusiveness and you value everybody's opinion. Oh, I hear your opinion. I really hear your opinion. And you value me as a colleague. My job has been threatened. My family's had things said to them because I didn't support it in one simple resolution. And all I'm asking of you is to go, yep, Sean, we know you've supported things. You've been behind it. You're one of the founding members of DEI. You wanted to see what it was about. You wanted to understand it. But I'm telling you right now, my opinion, it's failing. I asked you, when you go home, to really think about it. Are we really inclusive to everybody? Are we really? And what you voting no on this tells me is my difference of opinion, even though every word in this you agreed with to vote for, other than something that was taken out. It's not like I added anything to it. There's nothing. You agreed with everything that was in there other than me taking out one line. So you agreed with everything. There's not a sentence in there you didn't agree with, but because I take one line out, you don't agree with it. So you don't agree with any of it anymore then. This is part of sim politics at its finest. And I hope it's not. Because this board decided to stick behind DEI, and I'm trying to stick with it. I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to represent everybody in our county. And all I've asked is you to support a resolution that you basically voted yes on other than one line. And I guess it's just my frustration, because if you're committed to something, you don't have things fall through the cracks. You're working on it. You're constantly improving. You're constantly improving. And we have not done that. That commission has not done that. And like I said, adding this to it was a change in venue. Now, Mr. Commissioner Wayhill did ask when it was passed before, or changing the way it was written, should I say, I'm sorry. These, for Black History Month, the resolutions were passed February 13th, 2019, and February 10th, 2021. No DEI language was in there. And Mr. Wayhill, it is his prerogative to add that, and I think if he wants to, that's great. I'm just asking for support. I wanted to vote for this, but I cannot sit there and say we have been committed to it, because, I'm sorry, we're committed to balancing the budget. It happens. That happens. If we're committed to this, there'd be a lot more groups involved in DEI in this county. So I thank everybody. As I brought it forward, I'm going to vote yes on it. I would hope you would support me, because nothing changed in that other than a bit of language was taken out that we have not lived up to. And I can't vote on something that, because we haven't been committed to it.
Thank you. Commissioner Cousineau.
I'll be voting yes, mostly because it's two resolutions meaning the same thing, that we honor Black History Month, which is a national recognized group or whatever policy. So I'll be voting yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Wayhill.
I don't have anything else.
Commissioner Flewelling.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I would just like my colleagues on the board, county employees, the public, to know my viewpoint, at least in part in agreement with Commissioner Avery. DEI is a very divisive term, right? It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, a lot of them not good. Politicians talk, bureaucrats talk, words serve as a record on paper, but none of them do anything in means of action. We can debate this, and we have. There's going to be 2 resolutions, maybe only one passes. At the end of the day, civil rights, DEI, everything's been talked about for years. We can continue to go down this path of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but there needs to be action. And there needs to be action to bring people up while not knocking other groups down. We all come up together or we don't come up at all. And the more words we talk and talk and talk and spend years, we need to take action. And that's my intention. That's the world I come from. You don't sit and talk about doing the work. You do the work. Thank you.
Commissioner Winfrey, and then Commissioner Dr. Brown.
Yeah, and this is through you to Commissioner Shoemaker. Commissioner Shoemaker, during the course of the year, speaking in terms of the DEI Commission, I don't know if you attended those meetings or not, but during the course of the year, there were at least 3 vacancies on the DEI Commission that we followed practically verbatim the application process for filling boards and commissions that this board adopted. The DEI Commission adopted a similar process. So during the call to fill those vacancies, did you invite any of your conservative friends to apply? With the untimely death of Commissioner Renetta Speed, we now have another vacancy. Do you plan to ask any of your conservative friends to apply? And from what I understand, what you're saying is that there is no conservative voice on the commission. But if no conservatives apply to participate, how can there be a conservative voice?
May I
Commissioner
respond?
Shoemaker.
One, to start with your first question, I mentioned that there's vacancies, but a lot of people seeing that the fact is people aren't going to go waste their time and spin their wheels for nothing, okay? Because I'm sorry, if you ask me, Sean, you think you're going to get anything accomplished there? On this board, I will tell you, I will fight every day, and I believe we can. I believe we have the opportunity with this board to do something great, to put this county back in the place it should be, as one of the top counties in the state of Michigan. And I think if we stop letting things like this get in the way, I think we're going to be there. But that board, I'll be very frank, I was very serious. I don't think the group you have there, the majority you have there, would ever listen to conservatives. It's not just conservative, though. Like I said, it's not just conservatives that need to be down there. We need to put people around us who change and challenge our thinking. I literally, right on this floor, had such a debate with Clerk Clemens when he was commissioner. They had to break this meeting up. We had to go out. But I thank him all the time, and he'll tell you I thank him for that debate. And I hope he feels the same, because it challenged the way I thought, challenged the way I looked at things. Made this board, I thought, a better place. And when I ask you to think about things, are we doing that? It's not just conservative. Please don't misunderstand me. And I want to be clear with that message when I started out. My objection to that being in there is we can talk commitment all you want. It's words on a BS paper then. Because guess what? We are not really committed to everybody. If it's a priority, if something's a priority to you, okay, you make it happen. You make it better. We've left other groups out. We've left other groups behind, not just conservative groups, not just religious groups. We've left groups that form our society behind. And as far as, Charles, I apologize. I think I got both of them, but.
I'm going to yield back to Commissioner Winfrey, if that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to say about it. You know, I stand firm. I'll be voting against it. And I think that, you know, as leaders of this, I mean, even if, it's not an innocuous thing to eliminate that clause from the resolution that Commissioner Wayhill adopted. I mean, it's making a statement, you know, when you say, I'm going to support it because I've already supported the other one. What you're doing is denigrating the DEI Commission by going along with this insanity. So, you know, I stand firmly against it, and I encourage all of my fellow commissioners to do likewise.
So I'm insane because,
Hold on,
let me get this.
Point
Mr.
of,
Chair,
point
this
of order.
board has passed the point of
I
decorum.
understand, point of order.
That is, so I'm insane.
Commissioner Shoemaker, point of order. Let's maintain decorum. I yield, one second.
I'm not name calling.
One second. I yielded the floor to you in the order that you had requested the floor at the time. Commissioner Winfrey had the floor. I want to go to Commissioner Brown. I think statements and positions have been made clear. I think we've had a lot of discussion about this, and I think that everybody's sentiment as it relates to this, ample time has been given for everybody to put on the record, and I think we've been fair in doing that. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can someone tell me when the next DEI Commission meeting is, the date? This coming Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 5:30? And it's in this room? Okay. So I'm going to do my very best to come to that meeting on Tuesday. And the reason why is because I want to, as I said earlier, make sure that we have a better understanding of what these words mean. And not only what these words mean, but that we are putting them into action. Because I agree with Commissioner Flewelling that we have to act. And to address the question earlier about, you know, why Black History Month? Well, when you look at the data and social determinants, you look at the vast numbers of African Americans who are economically disadvantaged, the health outcomes are broad and not in favor of African Americans. When you look at education outcomes, again, they are not what they could be. So we need to do something in opposite of that to try to improve those kinds of outcomes because the data are clear. The data speak for themselves. The last thing I'm going to say is that equality is one thing, but equity is another thing. And so we, you know, economic outcomes, health outcomes, education outcomes, there's no equity there. So until we begin to see equity across the board, where we lift everybody up and everybody is doing better and more healthy and more educated, at that point, that's when we don't need to pass that resolution anymore.
All right, seeing no additional discussion, all in favor, it's been moved and supported, all in favor of the motion. As a matter of fact, let's do it this way. Let's do a roll call on this one. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey?
No.
Commissioner Getzinger?
No.
Commissioner Brown?
No.
Commissioner Avery?
No.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzno?
Yes.
Commissioner Wayhill?
No.
Commissioner Flewelling?
Yes.
All right, the vote is 5 no and 4 yes. The motion fails. All right, is there a report back to Commissioner Wayhill? Is there any report from the Government Operations
Everyone will be
Committee?
glad to know there's no report.
Thank you, sir. All right, so that brings us to the end of the resolutions under governmental operations. Next, we have before us the resolutions under Human Services Committee. The chairperson, Charles Winfrey, Vice Chairperson, James Avery. Commissioner Winfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move Resolution 2025-0029, approval of a modification of an agreement between Genesee County and the Oakland Livingston Human Services Agency in the amount of $112,000 $637.54 to provide for salaries and fringes for staffing. This request is the result of receiving additional grant funds.
Support.
All right, motion's been made by Commissioner Winfrey, supported by Commissioner Avery. Is there any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Shoemaker.
In favor of our staff's time and the weather, I would move the consent agenda all at once, the rest of it.
Support.
So we already had a motion on the floor to move agenda item resolution 2025-0029. That was supported. There's a substitute motion to move all items as a consent agenda for all of the items for the additional committees, Human Services Committee, Public Works Committee, and it's been supported by Commissioner Flewelling. All right, is there any discussion on the support, is there any discussion on the substitute motion? So we need to vote on the substitute motion. So is there any discussion about the substitute motion? Yeah, okay, all right. So before us now, we have the substitute motion, that's the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion? All right, seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, I will ask if there is a report from the Human Services Committee.
No report.
All right, I'd also like to ask Chairperson Brian Flewelling of the Public Works Committee, the Vice Chair is James Avery, if there's any report from your committee.
Mr. Chair.
All right, seeing no reports, that brings us to unfinished business. There's none listed under our agenda. Now we have before us new, and Commissioner Cousineau?
Did I miss something? Did we pass, did we vote to do agenda?
Consent agenda.
All right, for even that. All right. That's
All right.
fine. I misunderstood.
So that brings us now, we have a few items that are before us for executive session. At this time, I'll defer to our Corporation Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've got quite a big closed session agenda.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So under the Open Meetings Act, this body is allowed to go into closed session for certain reasons. It's my understanding that I think there's 3 collective bargaining agreements that need to be discussed for strategy reasons, and that's allowed under MCL 15.268 subsection 1 subsection C. That requires 5 votes. We're also going to closed session under MCL 15.268 subsection 1 subsection E to consult with your attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in pending litigation. And the pending litigation matter is the matter of Redstone Architects Incorporated versus Genesee County Board of Commissioners. It's an American Arbitration Association mediation case number 01-24-0008-7495 that requires 6 votes. So my recommendation would be to make a motion to go into closed session for both reasons, and you'll need 6 votes via roll call.
So moved.
Support.
All right, it's been moved to go into closed session, supported by Commissioner Dr. Brown. Is there any discussion on that motion? All right, seeing none, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Getzinger?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Avery?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker? Commissioner Cousineau?
Yes.
Commissioner Wayhill?
Yes.
Commissioner Flewelling?
Yes.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yes. All right, at this time, we will move into executive session. call this meeting of Genesee County Commission back to order at 7:37 p.m. All right, we have 2 orders of business before us. The chair at this time will entertain a motion to accept the attorney's recommendation.
So moved.
Relative to resolution 2025-1187. It's been moved and supported to accept the attorney's recommendation. There, is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, motion passes. Now we have before us, if okay, if there's no objection, I'll take these and as a group. Resolution 2025-1151, resolution 2025-1164, resolution 2025-1185. All right.
Support.
It's been moved. All of the aforementioned resolutions have been moved for approval. Is there any discussion?
To stay consistent with what I voted before, I will discuss it later. I'll be voting no on these, as I did the other ones other than one of the contracts, but there are several issues that now we're in negotiations. I don't want to bring up because we're still in the middle of negotiations, but I will continue to vote no on these.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of accepting the 3 resolutions, approving the 3 resolutions, 1164-1185-1151, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, the motion passes. There is nothing else before us tonight. Any additional comments? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned at 7:39 p.m.